Finally, boxing is back. Now, it is back. However, it was back last week with the Diego Pacheco fight. But this one's our first big-ish attraction. It's literally a 50-50 fight. The Battle of the Davids. David Benavidez. David Morrell. Who you got? I'm going to give you my prediction on how I think things are going to go. If it's going to go his way or the other way. If David is going to win, or is David going to win by the knockout? Before I get to the main event, I got to talk about the other three fights. They're going to be decent. A good scrap. Is it pay-per-view material worth it? That's what we're going to talk about. Jesus Ramos versus Jason Rosario. Jason Rosario is coming off of a grueling match against Jarrett Hurd. It happened late last year. It was a fun fight, but you can tell that his age. You can tell that he's aged already. While Jesus Ramos, even though he lost to Erickson Lubin, and then he went on to defeat some other guy in May, he also hasn't fought in quite a bit. But after seeing how this fool's young, Jesus Ramos, and seeing what he went through with Jarrett Hurd, how they both looked, how Jarrett Hurd and Rosario looked, and they looked washed, I honestly do believe Jesus Ramos should win by knockout, or at least a TKO. I don't think it's going to go a decision. We've seen Charlo knock him out, and I think he's been knocked out in the past as well. He has 4 losses in his record, and I don't want you to just look at their losses, sino que la manera que perdieron y la manera que se miran ahorita. Jefferson Rosario does look washed. Unfortunately, I do know that Jesus Ramos moving up to middleweight at 160, so this should be fun. We're going to see how he accumulates to the weight, and there's 160, I would say, it's kind of dead where he can win a belt as opposed to 154 where there's a bunch of live dogs, even though I always said that he had a good chance. So we'll see. Se mira acabado. I know it's a 10 rounder, 3 minutes each round, but I think that's enough for Jesus Ramos to get that W and to get it by stoppage. I'm going with Jesus Ramos by TKO. I want to say about round 8, 7, 8, around there. That's what I'm going to go with. Then the co-main event, right? The second fight before the co-main event. You got Pitbull Cruz versus Angel Fierro. Now, everyone got stuck that Pitbull was going to fight Ryan. Then he ended up not fighting Ryan because he doesn't want to look past his opponent. And then that's bad luck. Is it bad luck? I don't know. Is it disrespectful to look past your opponent? It is. Is it that you're afraid to fight Ryan? Maybe. However, he wants to look at Angel Fierro. Something I actually don't know much about this kid. The only rumors I heard that he's a live dog. Not rumors. I'm going to explain it. When I jump into other podcasts, when they talk and I hear and I listen and I hear them out, it does look like Angel Fierro is a fighter. He's a dog in there. He's a live one too. So maybe that's the reason why they don't want to look past them. Only they know because they're the ones who signed up for the fight. For that sole reason, and that the card is PBC, meaning that Pitbull's PBC and he might be protected by them, I'm going to go with Pitbull Cruz by a majority decision, unanimous decision. Because I don't know much about Angel Fierro, I'm not just going to say, I was going to win by knockout. The fight is happening at 140. And there it is. That's what I say. Now, to the co-main event. Don't know if I'm looking forward to this one. The thing is that we already saw this at 122. And they're going to fight their rematch at 126 for another belt. The thing is that Stephen Fulton versus Brandon Figueroa. Right now at 126, Fulton doesn't look like what he was at 122, while Brandon Figueroa looks way more better than he was at one. And at 122, but not like way better. Maybe exaggerate a little bit. Exagerar un poquito por la razón de que se mira más completo, se mira que los puede noquear, se mira que él no está perdiendo nada, while Stephen Fulton looks like he just doesn't have a chin. It kind of looks like Naoya broke him. But then again, usually when they say about slick fighters that they don't have a chin and that's why they play keep away, if it makes any sense, which for me it does. The first fight was a slug where it was back and forth, back and forth. I honestly thought Brandon Figueroa won, and that's not because I'm just Hispanic like he is. That's not because I'm Chicano like he is. I just thought he did enough to get the victory because of that slugfest. What Stephen Fulton ended up doing, it was just a bunch of running, hugging, and slugging it out. Pero yo, en mi personalmente, yo miré a Figueroa ganar y unfortunately no se la dieron a él. It was that kind of a close fight, like the Better Beef Bivol, where you see one opponent winning, you see the other one, you're like, okay, you can see a draw, but you have to assume that you have a victory unless you're on your head, you're like, it's a draw. I had Brandon winning, he lost. It's okay, we're getting the rematch. And I am leaning towards Brandon Figueroa by knockout stoppage as well. It's just that Fulton doesn't look as good at 126 than what he looked at 122. That's the reason why I'm giving it to Figueroa, because Figueroa has looked like he is better at 126 power-wise, movement-wise, energy-wise. And he's just a big kid. He's a big fucking kid. And sometimes that counts a lot, being a big fucking kid. It counts a lot, and I have him winning by stoppage. Round, if Naoya did him in 7 or 8, I think it was. I'm going to go with the late stoppage. Maybe 10 or 11 when he gets tired out. That's when I can see the stoppage going. I'm going to go late. Like I said, 10 or 11, late stoppage. Brandon Figueroa wins, becomes the new champion at 126. And you got to remember, 126 is going to be stacked. But who knows if we'll get those fights? Only they know. And of course, let's get to the main event. The Battle of the Davids. David Morrell. David Benavidez. Undefeated record. About 11, 12 fights. About 26 fights, I think it is. He's fought champions or past champions. He has no experience against champions. He has no experience going 12 rounds. He looked better at 175. Benavidez is looking drained at 175, even though it's going to be his second fight. This kid is growing, and he ain't stopping. He doesn't take care of himself. It looks like he's breaking apart in the scene, like it happens majority of the time. Sorry about that. It's really cold. Majority of the time, when a fighter starts to not look good in weigh-ins, to look drained, the first thing you have to assume is, did they train enough? The second thing you have to look, how much energy reserve is in there? The third thing is in there, are you fighting a puncher? In this particular case, we know that Benavidez has fought drained many times at 168. This is at 175, a little bit bigger, but still nonetheless. He is fighting a puncher in David Morrell. He does have a punch. But he's also fighting a guy that doesn't have experience. That counts a lot. David Morrell, a guy who's not seen 12 rounds. I think he's only seen 12 rounds 2 times. He looked not good at 175, but better than Benavidez at 175. Yes, Benavidez was fighting a past champion that was undefeated, semi-retired, but he was the past champion, and he was a really good champion, a really great fighter, while Morrell didn't fight that. So again, you put that into perspective. You put it in perspective, and you start thinking, what can Morrell do? Morrell, when he was fighting this guy at 175, he was chasing him. That's why he couldn't get the knockout. because he wasn't standing in front of him, what most fighters do. But Benavidez is no mover. He stands in front of him. The only difference is, even the weight drain Benavidez at 168 though, even at 175, he's still throwing a lot of punches per round. That can unsettle a power puncher because where is he going to throw his shot? Right? When you look at the spectrum of these fighters, you're looking at it and you're like, this guy doesn't gas out. This guy hasn't seen 12 rounds. Where should I go? This guy, David Benavidez, has not fought a power puncher. Morrell's a power puncher. But Benavidez has been a champion and he has experience going distance, having some stoppage in there. Morrell has no experience against a champion. This would be Morrell's biggest fight. While for Benavidez, it should technically be his third best, fourth best, depending how you want to look at it. It can't be his biggest because it is a 50-50. You don't know what Benavidez has at 175 because you don't know what he has. I don't know what he has. He struggled with Gvozdyk. Some people say that he lost. Some people say that Gvozdyk took it easy. Some people say that maybe, just maybe, Gvozdyk se dejó vender. Se dejó vender. Yo no sé si sea cierto que se dejó vender o se compró, como lo quieran decir, que se vendió, se compró. No sé si sea cierto. I don't know if he would do something like that. Maybe the guy needed the money. They were sparring partners. So that's all you should know. Because we know that Gvozdyk has power. He put Adonis Stevenson in coma when his brain shifted and he won his belt. The only guy who's ever stopped Gvozdyk, though, is Better Beef. Better Beef. However you want to call his name. No one has ever looked good against Gvozdyk because Gvozdyk has won all of his fights but the Better Beef fight. And even at the Better Beef fight, he was winning that fight before he got knocked out. He was dropped 3 times, yes, but he was winning majority of those rounds where he wasn't dropped. But he got knocked out. So once you start looking and thinking, Benavidez looked bad against a good champion, semi-retired champion. David Morrell looked better, but not great or not good. He just looked better than Benavidez against a mover. Benavidez will stand in front of Morrell, who has power. Does Benavidez has chin? Does he have a chin? Does he have a chin? I don't know. I don't know if he has a chin. Maybe I'm not looking at Morrell right. What if Morrell doesn't have the chin? Because he hasn't been tested with a lot of punches to the face. The only thing is that we've seen it. David Benavidez doesn't have power. He does have a lot of punches. He does have a lot of stamina. That counts for something. And if Morrell gets tired, there's going to be a knockout in Benavidez' side. Do I see that, though? That's where it's a 50-50 fight because I don't know where it's at. I don't know where it's at. I don't know what David Benavidez has at 175, but I do know that he does not have power. He has stamina to last 12 rounds against a guy who didn't take it to him, who was a semi-retired fighter. But David Morrell hasn't really gone 12 rounds as well. But they're both going to stand in. We're going to get a war. We're going to get a fucking war. That for sure. We're going to get a slug out. We're going to get a punch out. We're going to get out punches. We're going to get power punches versus bunches of punches. There you go. Power punches versus bunches of punches. Who do you have winning? Who do you got? Can Morrell knock out David? The only thing is that I ask myself, because we really haven't seen David Benavidez with the power puncher, is can David's chin hold? Can his body hold? Because, he's like, oh, muy King Kong el way. If he does, it's game over for Morrell. If he has a chin. If he doesn't have the chin, it's game over for Benavidez. You're going to get knocked out. I do, however, see that David Benavidez is not going to knock out Morrell. I can't see it unless Morrell gasses out. And then we'll see him finishing him off. That's the only way, because other than that, I don't see Morrell knocking out Benavidez knocking out Morrell. Porque Benavidez no tiene power unless something else pops up, which I don't see. If Morrell loses, where does he go? Stay at 175. There's still a lot of people that you can fight. Get better. You only have 12 fights. If Benavidez loses, brother, damn. There goes your career. No, not your career. You could always move up to cruiserweight unless you want to stay at 175. It's that simple. If Morrell wins, fuck it. Challenge Better Beef if he wins. Challenge Bivol if he wins. Go for it. Go for it. If Benavidez wins, I expect you to fucking challenge them. Don't you fucking duck. Don't you fucking duck, because we know that you're going to fucking duck. So here we go. Where do I have him? Who do I have? Where do I have him? I have David Benavidez by a majority decision. And I want to say it might be a robbery. It might be a robbery. I don't know if he's going to land a lot, but I know he's going to throw a lot. I just don't know if it's going to be a clean one. So at the moment, David Benavidez by majority decision. I don't see a stoppage. And I'm going the safer route because I don't know where Morrell's 12 fights, 11 fights can take him. What about you people? Where do you guys have them? Where do you have Benavidez winning? Where do you have Morrell winning? Do you see them losing? Which David do you have? Are you guys going to watch it? Let me know down below. The fight's on Saturday. So you only have like 3 days to comment. But you do have a good night, a good morning, and a good evening.